Hey, this is Henry from Up at Night Studios. Hey, I am so glad to be here today. What I wanted to do today was I wanted to start doing live stream, and I'm just doing this because I think people need to see who they're talking to or listening to, and I wanted to make sure that when I started my live stream, people can actually get on here and listen to some great information. And the reason why I'm doing this today, or actually doing this, is because I believe that a lot of people are still not informed about why do you pay federal income tax. And I think that's a thing that that sticks with most of us. That every year we have to file a 1040 form and file tax returns and all of this. And I'm hoping that I can share a lot of light on uh, why it isn't necessary to file and why and how you can combat this thing and actually ask a bunch of questions. Because if you don't ask, you don't know. So, what I'm saying to you is get this information. I'm going to try to um, put as much information as I can, or give you as much information as I can so it makes sense. And then you might even think about perhaps asking your own questions. Now, I'm not an attorney or anything like that, but I do have vital information that I'm presently using, and I've been using it for quite some time. For the last 3 years, I don't file tax returns. I don't have taxes taken out of my check, and um, you know, uh, people can actually do that same thing if you have the information. The IRS is known to put the fear of God into people, um, simply because they give them the authority to, steal their money and hit their bank accounts and issue levies and liens and all of that kind of stuff. But just for your information, did you know that the Internal Revenue is what we call administrative? What does that mean exactly? Okay. If you're talking about administrative, you're saying uh, administrative. What it really means is they are a administrative organization. They have no real enforcement power uh, unless you allow them to have that power. And I guess you say, Henry, what do you mean by that? Well, this is what I mean by that. If, in fact, you sign a 1040 form, you're saying to them, you agree with them, and that your 1040 form is actually enforced because you signed it. In other words, when you filed it and gave it to them after signing it, you gave up jurisdiction and you gave the IRS the authority to treat you as a United States citizen. Now I know you was lost just then, just at that moment when I said uh, you gave them the authority to tax you as a United States citizen. And I guess you said, well, I thought I was a citizen. Anyway, well, yes and no. Yes, you are a citizen if you live in the States, but no if you live in either Guam, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, American Samoa, Washington District, Columbia. Now, why do you think I said that? Washington District, Columbia, D.C., District Columbia, is a 10-mile radius, which we call the capital or the United States. Those people that are living in that particular area of the country are considered U.S. citizens, according to the IRS. Now, I didn't say that. The Internal Revenue said that. And what I want to do today is just kind of just talk with you about some things to kind of get you to see where I'm coming from. And then the next time I do this live, I'm going to have a bunch of information which will get you armed where you can find it for yourself. And I'm going to give you uh, the Internal Revenue Code as it says and take them at their word on what they're saying rather than take my word. Because I just want you to be right. I want you to know that you're right. Because when you ask them the same thing, they can't deny it because it's their law. So you're just following the law. Okay. So the reason I said that also is because a lot of us, and I mean black folks, I have to say black folks. I don't know about, well, I guess white folks too, but I'm talking about black folks, especially usums, weesums. We tend to not know a lot about much of anything when it comes down to taxes and other certain areas in our lives. We seem like we're the last to know everything. Why is that? I think because we never really pick up the book and read, or we run from fear because of fear. And we're really not knowing or educated in certain areas where we needed to be educated, when, especially when it comes to financing. You know, and as long as I speak, as I speak to people a long time, about certain things, and they never really think about the fact that um, they can have this information too, but we've all been misinformed one way or the other, including myself. Okay, so I'm putting myself in this group as well. So I don't want you to feel like you're by yourself or I'm picking on you in particular. I'm just letting you know. That's just how it is. Okay, so let's think about it like this. As we grew up in our households, our parents believed that, because my dad did and my mom did. I'm telling you like it is. My father always believed in sitting at the table in the dining room, laying out all the 1040 forms and the W-2s that you get back. And he would sit there and he would go over these papers and start filling all this information in on a tax return or a 1040. And he had to make sure that every T was crossed and every I was dot, every I was dotted, and he would actually make sure that everything was done before tax time, which was the standard April 15th date. And he would take these envelopes and file them, and close them up and seal them and put stamps on them and everything. And he would send it in the mail to make sure that they got it on time. And my dad, he worked hard all his life. And incidentally, my dad passed away at he was 59 years young when he passed away. So that was a tragedy for me. I thought my dad was going to be here a long time. But my dad would always do the taxes every year, every 15th, April 15th. And as of this dispensation or this time period, which is 2022 right now, every year, if you think about it for a minute, every year the Internal Revenue comes up with stuff about somebody either getting locked up for tax evasion, somebody, they put it on mainstream media, and they talk about somebody invaded a tax or got tax evasion, and they got jailed. And what that does psychologically to people, especially us black folks, we don't want to step out of line because we don't want to get locked up. And you think because you didn't pay your taxes, you're going to get locked up. Okay. All right. So let me explain this to you. 99% of all Americans right now in 2022 are not liable to pay a federal income tax or to file tax returns. 99%. So what does that mean? What does that mean to your ears? I probably kind of tickled your ears a little bit. You probably got it where you looked at it and said, listened to it and said, really, Henry? Really? Yeah, really. 99%. Why is that? Because most people that was born in the States, like Alabama, Atlanta, San Francisco, Indiana, Arkansas, Memphis, Tennessee, those are all states, but they're not U.S. Now you think I'm saying something that is kind of crazy, but the fact of it is that the United States is located where I just named all those several places and its territories. So if you don't live in Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, in fact, you could talk to anybody that lives in Washington, D.C. If you know somebody in Washington, D.C., you could talk to them and they will tell you that the taxes are so tremendously high in the district. They pay more taxes, Puerto Rico, the same way, than anybody else. Why? Because they are obligated to pay because they are considered U.S. citizens and they live in U.S. territories or in the United States, which is District of Columbia. Did you know that? Probably didn't, did you? We, if you live, when I say we, if you live in Georgia, Arkansas, San Francisco, Indiana, uh, Omaha, Nebraska, even Florida. Did you know that these particular places that I just named, these states that I just named, they are outside of the District of Columbia, which is you are considered a state citizen instead of a U.S. quote citizen. Did you know that? That's true. You live in the states which you're considered a state citizen living outside of the jurisdiction of the United States. So, if that's the case, how is it that you became a quote unquote U.S. citizen or filed a U.S. individual income tax form or confession form that made you part of the United States. How is that? Okay, so let me explain that a little bit. When you filed your 1040 form, you notice after you put all your information in it, and it started at the top, U.S. individual. You start at the top and you work your way down until you get to the signature. Now they want you to sign the form under penalties of perjury. So if you perjure yourself or you lie on that form, that's where they take that same form that you signed, or if you try to evade a tax, they get you and have you locked up or take you to trial on tax evasion, all because you signed that form. You gave them jurisdiction. You told them that you wanted to be treated as a U.S. citizen. And so you gave them that jurisdiction. So all the United States laws apply to you. That's how they got you. Now, I was ignorant of the fact. I did it too. So I'm not just blaming you until I got more information about what was going on and how did that actually work. I did the same thing. All right. The same thing. So all I'm telling you is that if you didn't file a 1040 form, you just didn't give them the information that they want, and you didn't file under penalties of perjury, and you didn't perjure yourself. Okay? You didn't perjure yourself. But if I don't file, what happens? I'm gonna tell you what happens. Of course, you can just stop paying, but you got to know what to do. How does it all start? Okay, so let's start from the beginning. You got a job, you work 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, or you were looking for a job. Let's put it that way, and you found a job. When you found that job, you went in for an interview with the company that you wanted to work for, right? And when you did that, you interviewed with the the people that were hiring you or the job or whatever it was. You sat down and you negotiated with them, or they told you that we'll pay you this amount of money if you get up every morning and come to my facility and work for me to help me make money. And you agreed to get up out of your bed 4 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, whenever your time starts, to go to that particular job and work 8 to 10 hours. Your body, you got up and you went to that job and you worked those hours like a slave. Your hard earned hours to get your hard earned money. Am I right? You know I'm right. And every week or every 2 weeks, you counted them hours up to see how much money you're probably going to bring in so you can feed your family, to take care of your bills, to pay your mortgage, or whatever have you. Am I right? Right. And you expected that person that you got employed with or that business to give you a paycheck at the end of the work week or every 2 weeks, right? So you can get some pay, some money. I mean, hey, you're doing what you know how to do. You went to work, you got up every day, you went to this job. You said, I want to work these many hours because I work these many hours. I know I got some money coming. I got a check coming at the end of the pay period. We all done it. Let's face it. Okay? Okay. So now you get your paycheck, you look at your paycheck, you see how much you got, you also see how much taxes was taken out, and you say, man, I worked all them hours and they took this much money out of my paycheck. Yes, they did. Why is that? Do you remember when you first started your job? And when you first started your job and you sat down with that employer and they hired you, they took you through your training or whatever, they got you started, you started working, but before then they gave you all those forms to fill out, didn't they? Didn't they? You remember. You filled them all out. They gave you a W-4. They told you to fill this out. They didn't tell you how to fill it out. They just told you to fill it out, right? In other words, they told you to make the determination to whether or not you want to have taxes taken out and how much. Now, I just got to stop right there for a minute and share this with you because I think this is really important to understand how that all happened and why did they take the money out and all this money that's coming out of this check and what brought that on. Okay, so now listen to this. Think about this. When you worked for them and you started working for them, they gave you that W-4 form to fill out. You told them exactly what you wanted to do. You told them you want to claim this or claim zero or claim one or two dependents or three or four dependents. So the more dependents you put down, you had less money taken out, hopefully. But then at the end of the year, they say because you had less money taken out, you didn't pay enough. Come on. Come on. What's enough? How much is enough? All right. Come on. Okay, so let's look at it from scratch. All right. You started the job with these people. They employed you. They gave you the form. You filled it out, not knowing that you could have put exempt down there. So, in other words, because your employer took this money out, is because you okayed it. Now, had you not showed up for work and all the people that they hired, that company would not make any money at all. They needed your body there. So by you showing up along with 100 or 200 people that showed up, now the company is getting profitable. And on top of that, they became the go between you and the IRS. You allowed them to take some of your money voluntarily, mind you, to give to the IRS. And it saves the employer or the people that you work for some of that burden because now they don't have to pay as much in taxes because you helping them pay the taxes, which was or who's being profitable now. You're not being profitable by working for that company. You're working by the hour. They guaranteed you that they was going to give you 10, 11, 12, $15 an hour, whatever it was. That's what you were supposed to bring home, less taxes. Or you could have said, no, I don't want to pay taxes, and you go exempt and not have any taxes taken out and bring all your money home. You had that choice, but you didn't make that choice because you thought that you had to go ahead and have them take taxes out. Come on, I'm being real, folks, and I think you know that. You see it and you know it, you did it, right? Okay. So now you got this money out. You said you worked all these hours. I thought I was gonna get more than this, but they took all these taxes out. So here's the other train of thought. Here's the madness to filing tax returns. And I know you've heard of this too, what I'm about to say. Every year, all these people file these tax returns, including yourself. The real reason that most people file tax returns, well, I'll give you two reasons most people file tax returns. Two reasons why people file tax returns. Number one, they do it because they're afraid of the Internal Revenue Service. Or number two, they do it because they said, I know you've heard this, what I'm about to say. I'm doing it. I got to file these taxes so I can get some of my money back. Haven't you heard that? Haven't you even said that? Have you not said that? I used to say, come on now, let's be real. I said the same thing. What's the logic behind that? What's good about that for the Internal Revenue Service? They know that because most of your money was paid into the tax, they run intimidation scams and they keep you filing so you could try to get some of your money back. Well, does it make sense to not pay it at all and don't have to worry about filing a 1040 form? That's the only reason why you file a 1040 form in most cases is to try to get some of the money back they took from you, right? No, let's say you gave them. They didn't take anything. You gave it to them voluntarily, right? Yes, you did. Well, I didn't know if there was anything that I can do. Yes, it is. You could change your whole tax status. You could become an American national, which is people who live outside of the jurisdiction of the United States, and you can voluntarily not file and not pay taxes because, like you volunteered, you could unvolunteer. Did you know that? All you need to do is file an ROE. And what I will do is talk more about that on my next episode. All right. My name is Henry Harris. I thought I would give you this. This is my first broadcast. And I'm going to be here again. On my next episode, I'll be talking about in continuation of why do you pay federal income taxes? And I'm going to give you a real lot of information. So please, I want you to stand by and I will send you notifications again on my next podcast. And again, thank you for listening to me at Up at Night Studios. And if you liked it, please, please hit the button down there. Hit it down there. And then you'll get notification that I'll have another podcast. Okay? I want to thank you again. Again, this is Henry. Thanks for stopping by. Bye bye for now.